So I wrote a song called House on Fire that has also been released today. And I wrote it around Mental Health Awareness Month because I've been really trying to focus on mental health. And I also wrote it about my husband. My whole album, House on Fire, is basically a love letter to him and our relationship. And I wrote this song because in life, we go through so many things. I think each and every one of us is fighting a battle we know nothing about. And you bring that into a relationship. And so what it's about is like when you get down to the foundation of this person, when all the beauty and the paint and all the things that makes a house so beautiful are aside, and what's really at the bones of it, can you really love that person through the good and the bad? Because it's easy to love someone when things are good, but the true test is, can you love someone when things are bad? So back in 2021, when my son was 9 months old, he got really sick and it turned into sepsis. And it was one of the scariest moments of my life. We were in the ER and I was watching him lose consciousness. And I remember asking the nurse, I choked out the words. I was like, is he going to die? And she said, I'm not going to lie to you right now. I'm very concerned, and he is the sickest person in the ER right now. And that was during the height of COVID. And I just remember falling to my knees and praying. I held this woman's hand that was on the stretcher, and we just prayed for my son. And that kind of love, when we grow up, before we have kids and we're just with our moms, we wonder why our moms are so crazy over us. Like, what is wrong with you? And then once I had a kid of my own, that type of love is really scary, because your world literally cannot go on if something happens to that person. And that's what that song is about. It's like, this is such a scary love. It's a beautiful thing. It's one of the best things to ever happen to me, but it is so precious and it's so scary being on the edge like that all the time. So my song, My Side of the Country, that is the intro to this album, because there's a huge, someone said it's a country renaissance. And I do believe that everybody is singing country music right now. I think I even believe I heard or read something that Chappell Roan even might be releasing a country song. So country music is really having this huge moment that is so awesome. Beyoncé Carter just released a massive country record at the beginning of this year. And so there's just so many versions of country music all over the world. You've got Texas country, you got West Coast country, we got East Coast country apparently, and we've got it all over this beautiful country that we live in. And so I wanted to show listeners my side of the country. Make It Me is also a real fun song. It's kind of like when I first met my husband. Actually, I've known him for a very, very long time, but when I realized I loved him, I just knew I wanted to be with that person, and I wanted to make it official. So that's kind of what that song is about. I just kicked off my tour in the DMV, and it was such a beautiful experience. I found success in music during a pandemic when everybody was shut inside. And now that everybody's outside again, I'm able to connect with my fans and people that have wanted to see me for a very long time and never got the opportunity to see me live. And it's something that's so beautiful. It's such a beautiful, empowering show, and I'm just so blessed right now. Being a trailblazer in country music, I didn't expect it to go this way, for sure. Being a trailblazer, I will say, comes at a price. You are faced with a lot of adversity, and you have to be strong through it. And sometimes it is very, very, very hard. And it's an honor. I accept the assignment, but it is really, really, really hard, And sometimes you've got to take out, because even when you're a trailblazer, we all have an ego, and you have to put your ego aside and remember it's so much more important than you even being a trailblazer. Because especially in a genre like country music, where it is a predominantly white genre, and it's so important. It's not enough for you to just be the first in something. It is extremely important that you make sure, not only if you are the first, because what your fate is your fate. And I wasn't the first in this genre. There was Linda Martell, there was Reese Palmer, and there were so many countless others before me. But it's so important that you make sure that you leave it better than you found it, and you open that door and be a mentor to so many people. And that goes for any line of work, any business that you work at, whether you work at Vibe, whether you work at Bank of America, and you're in finance. It's so important, you as a Black person, to make sure that you are good and mentoring people, your people, to make sure that they can have that generational wealth that we see so many other people have. My advice that I would give anybody listening to this right now is that you should never give up. I love Miss Cheryl Lee Ralph, and I got to hang out with her at the Kentucky Derby, and she and I just became buddies. But she said, sometimes you have to say the same thing over and over again, but a different way. And that one time you say it, they're going to hear you. And so she goes, for me, look at where I am in my career. I've been here a long time, and you just cannot give up on yourself no matter how hard it is. And there's so much adversity, and that's the only thing that I can say is to never give up and to always show up and to not be afraid to work extremely hard for what you want, because nothing good comes easy. We're in such a pivotal moment in our lives. There's so much going on, and you can think about Marvin Gaye, what's going on. So many people, Bill Withers, Lovely Day, and Grandma's Hands. Like, so often those songs were like spiritual songs that we needed in moments, and I think that that's where we are right now. And I wrote a song called All American.
We're hand-me-down, tailor-made, Daisy Dukes, Dookie braids, James Brown and James Dean.
I wrote it because it seems like it's been very difficult to find peace and unity in our country. Like, we're so divided, and I wanted to write a song try to unite us. Because America is everything. Like, I wrote a song, a patriotic American song, and talked about dookie braids. So that's so. Listen, there's James Brown and there's James Dean, but we still have the same, And these moments, that's how I wrote a song, was just how do I unite us? I lived in downtown Los Angeles at the time when all of the Black Lives Matter protests were going on, and I was pregnant. So I had to stay inside, but I could see it all happening out of my window, and I saw unitement. And so I wrote a song about, I said, unitement, is that even a word? No, it is not. Unity. I felt unity, okay? I felt unity, unitement. Where I got that from is one day it's going to be added to the dictionary because of me. I don't know where I was going with that, but, my song, artists so often, we're still a private citizen, and some people, I'm an empath, so I write songs that move me when I see something happening that makes me sad or bothers me. It's like therapy for me. So it felt so amazing when Beyoncé sent me flowers. I've admired her for a very long time. I was so excited when she announced that she was making a Beyoncé record. She said it's not a country record. She says it's a Beyoncé record, but there's a lot of country music in there. And it felt so good to be acknowledged, because she has brought so many eyes to the genre that I could have never done. And I'm just so excited that we're here. When I got, Time Magazine Breakthrough Artist of the Year and CMT Breakout Artist of the Year, I suffer from imposter syndrome. So it's something I still struggle with, feeling like I deserve it. And it really meant the world to me. And I still want to just continue showing people who I am. And my first record, Remember Her Name, was so about what was going on in the world. And now I'm writing an album about love and in my life. So I want to continue just showing people who I am and giving people love. I'm in my love era. And that's where I see things going, is to just continue making people feel loved and seen and heard. I love Glorilla. What? Yeah, Glow. I can't spit any verses for anything. I can't rap. Would y'all ever want that for me? I would offend everybody if I did that. Just listen. You can admire from afar, okay? I know, we all have our limits. And we all know our limitations, There's some people that just dance for a year, and there's some people can do all the things that I could never do. So I don't even want to, Oh, I should get tequila in me. And maybe there will be a verse or two that I can rap for you. But not today. After Juneteenth, that had me crying. Like watching that moment Kendrick Lamar is like for the culture. I've loved Drake, obviously. He has given us some bops. I just feel like Kendrick is such an important artist to like the culture, like forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Amen. He is so important to the culture. Like how he united Black people on Juneteenth was the most insane thing I'd ever seen. Insane. Like I just sobbed my eyes out watching it. You know, especially with hip hop, what I love is that hip hop it moves the culture and the world forward. It is always like 50 steps ahead of the rest of the world. And the boldness and the I give zero fuckness. That's another new word going in the dictionary. I'm so inspired by that being so unapologetically you is something that I just really admire. So that's something that when I write my music, I think about because, you know, I have a lot of thoughts in my head and I'm always scared sometimes to make too much noise and not to say too much because I don't want to offend. And in hip hop, you don't feel like that at all. And there's power in just being you. You are enough. And that's what I bring into my music and country music. Remember Her Name was a collection of songs of what was going on in the world. I was really writing a lot of, you know, like thought-driven songs. And House on Fire is more of my personality and it's more about love. And it's actually what I was writing before I wrote Remember Her Name. I've been writing these songs for years. I just took a hard left to write something else that was going on that was really important at that time. But this is who I am. So people can really see my personality and who I am in these songs. I wrote a lot of those songs back in 2018, 2019, and as well as current. But I think what's different now is I am freer and free. And I was able to look back at these songs and realize how great they are. I was in a really bad space in my life and didn't think anything I ever did was good enough. And now I know they're good enough. I know I'm enough. And these songs were a part of my life when I was becoming and turning into the woman that I am now. You know, there was therapy during those times as well. With my husband, and that was also therapy for myself. And now that I'm here in 2024, I've been making and creating this album for about a year, and it just made sense. Like this is where I'm at. It was almost like it was predestined or something. You know, I'm definitely free from my own constraints because you know I can be my own worst enemy when it comes to. I think everybody can. Like the things that we say to ourselves. Sometimes we're alone. Like, we would never say that to somebody else. Why would we say that to us? So my own restraints or my own constraints. I'm also free from some parts of the industry. You know, I've changed teams and it's been very eye-opening. And it's been awesome to just be able to trust my gut again.